the 3rd of November 1985. Sister Margaret is picking me up at the Nullarbor motel in the Nullarbor Plains to drive me to Cook, where earlier this year there was a UFO incident took place involving the stalling of a train. Sister Margaret also has pictures of a UFO taken also this year, and I hope to interview some of the people involved in these UFO sightings in that area.
It's out there underneath those trees there, and I don't know, someone...
Bob Pollock.
Eh?
Bob Pollock.
Bob Pollock, one of the men, happened to look up and see it. Now whether he knew about it already, I don't know. I think it was some of the battle children who were watching it in the morning.
That was before the train pulled up.
Well...
That was before the train...
Yeah, that was on a Saturday afternoon.
Before the train got here.
Yeah, the train didn't get here till the next morning. At about 10:30. It was late that morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
About 10 o'clock, between 10 and 10:30 that the train didn't get here. This was a passenger train that comes in every morning. It was late that day.
Well, was it some of you people called attention of the passengers?
Yeah.
Called attention to it. They wouldn't have noticed it if you hadn't called.
I don't know. That was so bright just at that stage. They may have. I'm not sure, but they saw us all looking at it and mentioning it. It was just so bright. It was the brightest I'd seen it actually just at that stage. Mm-hmm. And I was wishing I'd had my camera to take another shot of it because it was just so bright, and it looked closer at that. And that was when it was over in that direction. And we first thought it might have been a weather balloon, but we couldn't understand why a weather balloon would stay stationary so long and that sort of thing. So we dismissed it as a weather balloon.
It didn't do anything that a balloon couldn't do. Like when it sped away. Now, you're sure that it speeded up when it sped away?
That was my impression of it. Yeah.
Mm.
So whether it did or not, I don't know.
What is usually your wind direction in this area here?
I can't remember what direction we had.
Where I live, it's from the southwest most of the time.
No, it depends on what phrase we're in as to whether it's all southeast. It's been southeast a lot, hasn't it, at the moment? What was happening on that day? The 7th of September.
Gusty winds the following day on the 8th, 32 knots at midday. Yeah. Oh, that was just after they left.
It was just after they left that we had wind
just 32
at 1200 hours. That left at about 10 past 11 was the last time I'd sighted it. And at 12 o'clock that day, the wind started gusting up at 32 knots. It was a very still day, wasn't it? I remember on the Saturday now. It was a very, very still day. One of the nicest days we'd had. Quite still.
And the direction of that wind, again?
No, I haven't got that.
No.
That's just a brief resume of the month. Just rainfall figures and then anything exceptional like a strong wind for the day. But I didn't put the direction down in it.
It may have been southeast.
And now my book with the details in, of course, that's gone back to the Bureau. So that's on. Well, I suppose you could get them from the Bureau, the Met Bureau. They could give you what the wind was at 12 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock and at 12 o'clock, and getting the variation between it then.
Yes.
Were there any clouds in the sky that you noticed either that night or the next morning?
I thought it was pretty clear, the sky, wasn't it, at that time?
Yes, I can't remember seeing any clouds that day. If they were, they were on the horizon.
I don't know, were there many stars out that night?
Pardon?
Were there many stars? Was it a clear starry night?
Yes, there was a clear night.
Yeah, and from that afternoon till next morning, how late at night did you look at it? You first saw it about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday.
Oh, when did we go to bed that night? Did you look at it during the weather?
Yeah, when I did the weather, 3
2
o'clock, it was still
2
there.
o'clock in the morning?
It was
That's
still
when I looked at
there.
it at 2 o'clock?
And
Or
they have us
2:30?
Have us 2, quarter to 3. something
This
like that.
good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where was it at that time?
Well, it's in the same
Same
similar
spot,
position,
same
yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
Now, I think I looked at it, I was wondering whether I looked at it at 5:30, and I think it was at the same spot also, at 5:30.
Yeah.
So the weather 3, for 3 o'clock, and Margaret did
No, it
for
might
6
have
o'clock
changed
before.
then,
you see.
because,
So it'd be about just before 3, and just before 6.
yeah, because I didn't go back to bed that day, did I? So it may have changed by the 6 o'clock weather forecast. It might have changed over that direction.
Now, let me backtrack. In 11 o'clock is last you saw it. When you got up in the morning, what time was that?
It'd be 5:30.
5:30, and you looked again.
Yeah, no, I've got,
Yeah.
I've
Where
got
was
a
it at
base,
that time?
I've got a base suspicion it must have been switched over to this side.
Yeah.
No.
Hmm. And it appeared through your eyesight as a bright silver.
Mm.
But when you looked at it through the binoculars, it looked like smaller lights.
Actually, along in
cigar
the
shape.
shadow part of my zoom lens, I'll show you that zoom lens.
Mm.
It looked at what we're all looking at. We had the kids lined up for, everyone was looking at it through binoculars, and actually looking at through ordinary binoculars, it still looked like just a single dot, a very bright dot. But looking at it through the shadow section of the zoom lens, it looked like a long, oblong type of object with these flashing and all different coloured lights on it. You know, like the colours of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you get, if you got water on something and you had light shining into it or something, you know, you get all those different colours.
Like in prison.
Mm.
You've never seen anything like it before?
No.
Do you often look at the sky? at
Well,
night?
we're always looking at the sky because we're doing the weather for every 3 hours.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we're very conscious. You become very conscious of the sky and what's in it and what the clouds are doing. It's not only just when we do the weather. It's quite often we'll look up at the sky and think, oh, yeah, what direction they're going, what clouds are they, and everything like that. So we've never seen anything like that before.
Is this on an airline route through this? Do you ever see any aircraft around here? Only other than what land? This is not on a route from any city to city through here.
No, just it looks planes going through the Perth occasionally seem to wander over this way.
Yeah.
Very occasionally if they one high up,
That's
and
right,
we only notice that if it says the doctor's there and we're waiting for the doctor's plane and we're listening for it. We sometimes hear another plane, and sometimes you can spot it going across, but it's very seldom as though they're just drifting either up course a little bit or the wind is blowing this way and they haven't corrected the course or something. But we don't get a lot of planes passing by.
Do you see satellites go over here? Is it a good viewing area for satellites, is it?
Yes, now when did we see that satellite, that when David Griffin, that night that David Griffin was here, we saw one down very low. We watched it move down that way.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, we went up to the train and it was just above the train and it moved down that way.
Mm-hmm.
We see a few, not a great deal, but that was one particular one. That was not all that, when was David Griffin, not David Griffin, David Moore, Dr. David Moore, we were looking at it. Now when did he leave? He left July, was it July, August? July, yes, that would have been in July. That was just before he left. That's the beginning of July.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's propaganda or not, but they say up around Ayers Rock is the best place to see Halley's Comet at the price.
Yes.
I don't know whether
They
it's
say
Chamber
that
of Commerce
everybody's moving
propaganda or
into
not.
Alice Springs from all
Yeah,
over
but
the
I
world.
would
to
say
look
you
at it.
can see it here with the clear sky also, yeah.
Yeah, well, I reckon that we'll get a good view of it too.
Yeah.
From that side, I don't know. I think so.
Well,
Yeah.
next couple of nights, isn't it?
Yeah.
Next couple of nights is due.
When?
Well, I
And
think
then
it's
about
April.
6th, and then April the next time.
Yeah, well,
April.
April is when we're
Yeah.
due to see it.
Yeah.
No, we reckon we should see it in November.
Well, they can see it now.
But I didn't think we would be
telescope.
able to see it at that stage.
You don't, do you have any animals here, or dogs, or cattle, or,
Yeah.
We did have a lot of dogs and quite a few cats.
you could recall that night if they were acting up or doing excessive barking?
No, I can't.
Yeah, of course you,
Actually, what's her name, Val Bugner, who will take you around, she had got quite a few animals at her place. She may have noticed something,
mhm.
you know.
Oh.
She's very interested and she might have noticed something, but no, I don't remember them acting up at all.
Any time at night your electric lights weren't acting up, or static or radio or TV? TV, yes.
No.
Problem is you don't know how large it was, so you don't know how far away it was. But usually when they close in, it'll cause these things when they close by, if it's a UFO.
Did you mention to Paul about the incidents with the trains down the track?
Well, I want to ask about that later.
Ah.
Yeah.
Actually, the fellow who could tell you more about that is Lester Fleming. Now he also saw this UFO out at the 12 mile, and he thought it was quite eerie out there, and he got quite frightened out there.
Was that the one that you saw?
Yeah, the same one.
What's his Lester?
Lester Fleming, Fleming.
He's a station master.
And then
Hmm.
then he'll know about the trains. It was he who told me about the trains.
Yeah.
I know I hadn't known before then.
How far away from here did the train lose power? When it came out of the press cuttings, well, we noticed it was that town that begins with an O.
All day?
I think
Old Day.
Was it
Yeah, they said it was
Barton? I
beyond,
thought it was Barton,
closer
actually.
to Barton.
but they didn't
Yeah.
mention Cook. It says beyond Old Day,
No.
and that's all we had about the sighting. Well, I think most of the details came out in one of the Sydney papers. We subscribed to the press cutting service, and said this power failure happened while it was hovering. And then there came the debunking 2 or 3 days later that that the engineer, the people had seen light reflections on the sand dunes, which was unusual because the people that travel across here very often, and why would they think that? There is cover up on that. I would like to talk to some of the railway people who,
And also, Lou Battle, I think you said you wanted to talk to. Yeah, I'm not sure what experiences he's had.
yes, well, I was at the bird sanctuary when I ring in once a day back to Melbourne to see what's
yeah,
going on. And they told me about Sister Margaret and this Lou who didn't even have your surname, but that's all. Where it came from, I don't know, but we get reports from everywhere. And
Well, we don't need our surnames here.
I mentioned to the warden, this is Sister Margaret there. I said, he always says one of the sister came out from that hospital here a few months ago down there, and he looked back through the record. It was Sister Ann.
Yeah, she's from Melbourne, so that would be Sister Ann, I think.
Yeah.
She's over there now, actually.
And we were wondering if the same one. Thought it was quite a coincidence where I first learned the news and found that the visiting sister had been there. Yes.
Come in.
Hello. How are you?
I'm not bad.
Want a cup of tea?
There's a hot one in the pot.
Hello, sweetheart. Oh,
This Lester Fleming, he had done something about the train incident.
Yes, he's a station master, and he probably would have got a full report on that.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, he
Hilda
lives
Knight
here.
says fairly weak.
He lives here, does he?
Mm.
He lives here at Cook.
What?
yes, he lives here.
Yes, I would like to talk to him. I'll have to check this.
Can you sing this morning?
Check these dates. I do know that the French are sending balloons for weather reports, and that are relaying information to satellites.
Oh, really?
And you might I don't know whether you get the newspaper here. There was
Yes,
one.
today,
Yeah,
about 2 days
That's
late.
old.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't have to have a chance to read it.
2 days old, and then there's a tendency not to read it.
No.
there was Ran was flying up near
No,
Coffs
we
Harbour.
heard that.
Yeah, and there was something that they hadn't seen before, similar to what you described.
Mm.
And the pilot photographed it. I haven't seen any results on this. We hope to hear some more about it. We'll check the date, and I don't have that date with me. I'm speaking from memory. Around Shepparton, there were a lot of witnesses, and reporting to the radio station. Well, I phoned the radio station at Shepparton, and they seemed to think at first it was a UFO. They hadn't seen it before, and then there's a possibility it could be a balloon. A little while later, it's over Benalla, where I'm talking about in Victoria, and one of the light aircraft went up, but they couldn't get in range of it. It was so high. The airport, the Department of Transport, was concerned because it's getting in their airspace, and it concluded it was a balloon, although they said it didn't originate in Australia. But that's one possibility we have to look at. You see, but you say you've sent these the negatives off to somebody to.
Yeah, well, we'll take you down to Balbuden in a minute, and she can tell you exactly where she sent them to.
Yeah, right. Good. Yeah.
This is something we'll do.
If you like to take those, you can.
Well, these will be the only copies you have.
Yeah, but
I don't want to do that because you want to keep but when you.
Well, they'd probably be more interesting to you than to me.
Yeah, well.
But if we get the negatives back, we could send the negatives to you too.
Well, I'd prefer to wait till the negatives come back, because they get lost, and I don't want to be responsible. But we do have access to computer analysis equipment in the United. It's the same equipment they use photographing the planets. You see, it costs us $100 an hour for a rental of it. Although we don't take an hour, there's a lot of photos being analyzed, and with say 5-10 minutes of it. It's in California that they do this, and just compare the analysis of it with the analysis you get back. I suppose the people that are analyzing this would tell you what sort of equipment they use.
I rang. That's a bit of water there. Just a bit wet then.
Who did you ring?
I rang Seduna Airport to see whether they had any balloons up, and they didn't have anything up. They didn't know what it was at all. And it was reported by David Griffin's plane also that it was in the air. He was a pilot who'd come into here, and he went down to Seduna and reported it there.
He had seen it himself?
Yeah, we all saw it, didn't we? That was the night of that was the day of the church service.
Yes,
we all saw it.
And then I also rang Maralinga Police to see whether they had any balloons up or knew of anything there. And actually they hadn't sighted anything at Maralinga, which is out that direction, and they didn't have any balloons up or anything, so they didn't know anything about it.
When I went back from church, Lloyd reckons that it's been up all day.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, apparently it has.
Yeah.
We only saw it when we
Lloyd,
went outside.
when Lloyd had been watching it, how long he'd been watching it for?
No, I haven't any idea.
No, we'll have to ask. You can ask Lloyd about that, Lloyd Battle is the one.
Because Lloyd was outside there, and I said to him, did you see the balloon or whatever it is, And he said, yeah, it's been there all day, you reckon. So,
that was, he was talking about all day. That would have been Sunday, would it?
Yeah, it was Sunday. When did we have that service?
Saturday.
It was Saturday.
Oh,
It was a baptism.
He had seen it all day Saturday then.
Yeah.
Well, what angle was it from when he first saw it?
Well, it's been standing still all the time. It was sort of sitting there all the time in that direction. Yeah.
And we will talk to him then.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, we try to let people know what's going on in this field. If we get information, well, there's an average of about 100 being reported every 24 hours from somewhere in the world.
Oh, really?
About 80% are mistaken identities. They boil down to 15 or 20% of the real unknowns. Investigated cases are being computerized from around the world. And can you think of any more details about this when you photographed?
No.
It was just a layer. It was just a shine because the sun was reflecting on it. It was just sort of a layer looking thing, and it was just standing still. It wasn't moving. That was the thing that we were fascinated by. It was just sitting there.
Yeah.
But that's all I.
take this, about this incident.
Yeah, we were up there shooting, would have been probably 200 k's up north of the line, and we seen this light too. And so we radioed through to the other shooter because we were distance apart. We had whatever they are. And he said that he's seen it too, and next thing he said, my car stopped. And we said, you got it going? He said, not yet. He said, it's stalled. He said, I think I flooded it. He just thought he flooded it, and he just kept turning. About 5 minutes later, he said, it's going now, we're right. And we wondered whether it was anything to do with that too, with the light, but we didn't know for sure. But then we heard other people saying about how it happened, and he reckons it was a lot brighter than what we seen it. And it looked...
Could he tell how close it was to him?
He reckoned it wasn't that far away. He reckons it was just a really bright light, and it was flashing to different colours. It was going different colours.
Was it making any noise?
No, he didn't hear no noise. He reckons that he reckons at one stage it was to the side of him, he reckons, and then it sort of went up above him, and we were watching it. We would have been probably 10 k's away from him. And he reckons my car won't start. He said, I think I flooded it, because he reckons he's seen a fox or something, and then he couldn't get it started. But that's one incident, and then another, that one that we seen when we were going. And when we got to Hughes, they reckon that a woman up there by the name of Annette Page, she reckons she was hearing strange things. She thought she heard a plane coming in on the airstrip before we came. And then she said she thought she heard a baby crying, and there was no babies up there. She swore black and blue she heard this baby crying. And she went up to the other house, because there's only 2 people up there at the stage, because the other people were with us. And the other people heard exactly the same. They thought they heard a plane coming in, but there was no...
But they didn't see anything?
They didn't see anything. They just heard it, and then we told them that this light followed us just about all the way.
Was that the same
That
night?
was the same night. No,
What time of the night was this?
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
You out shooting that late?
Yeah.